Hi, everybody. I think my live is working. This is the first time I've gone FaceTime live. My name is Jessica Michaud. Thank you for the throw in, Pam. I was delayed a little bit there because I was taking so many notes from you. So excited to be here and be part of this summit. Thank you, Sue, for organizing this. And I feel so energized to talk about label reading because this is where most of my clients get tripped up. It was certainly where I got tripped up for a lot of years. So the most important thing is that when you go into the grocery store, you have to sort of think about where you're at. What's your goal? Are you on the journey for weight loss? Or are you actually trying to maintain your goal? And that's sort of the place that I feel like everyone needs to start. Oh, and I should say, I'm TLS trainer. I'm in New Jersey, TLS certified coach, actually humbled and named trainer of the year this year, which is just so crazy. And so much of that has just been so fun, teaching other people how to pay this amazing program forward and help other people. And so many of the coaches that we teach are ones that have had success with this program and just want to keep it, top of mind for them and pay it forward. So anyway, back to label reading. So because this is a very visual topic, I'm definitely going to post some things after the group. So try to follow me as much as you can. I definitely have some notes because there's so many details when it comes to label reading, but I'm going to try to break it down in a way that will make a lot of sense for you. Okay. The first thing is I'm going to guess you're as confused as everybody else, and the FDA has recognized that. So supposedly by July of 2018, we're going to start to see new food labels on all of our packaging. And what we're going to see is really 4/5 new changes to the food labels, which I'm going to talk about today. The first is they're going to add an additional line called added sugars. So hold that thought for a second because I want to cover that in my 13 things. The second thing is they're going to identify vitamin D and potassium because those are two things that people are really testing positive for being deficient in. As a side note, if you are someone that's been testing positive for vitamin D deficiency, you should definitely connect with the person that brought you on the summit so you can learn more about the isotonic capable form of vitamin D, 5,000 IUs, and you can take that regularly and boost your levels back up. Another thing they're changing is they're making the calories loud and proud so you can see them really big. Suzanne Patrick is going to talk tomorrow night about whether that's really relevant when you're following the TLS program and how much that information has for you. But we are going to talk about that in a little bit. And the last thing, which leads me into the first of the 13 key things you need to look at when looking at labels, is the serving size. So I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I think I subconsciously/consciously ignore the fact that there's a serving size written on the back of a food label. I know my husband consciously or also subconsciously is not aware that a Haagen-Dazs pint of ice cream is actually 3.5 servings. It's not one full serving. Is anybody else guilty of that? So one of the things that the FDA labels are going to change is they're going to make those serving size more realistic to what people are eating. However, they're not going to make the Haagen-Dazs pint a full serving. They're going to make it go from half a cup to 1/3 of a cup. So that's where you'll see changes. So things like a 20-ounce thing of soda, which hopefully none of you guys are having anyway, but most people are drinking that as one serving. So they're going to change that to one serving. Where it might be more realistic for you is how many of you are eating Nutella and you think that that's healthy because there's a nut in it and you're eating the entire package instead of knowing it's 2 tablespoons, right? Or how many of you think that baked Lay's chips are better for you so you're eating the entire bag of that versus looking at the serving size? Some of those things can happen with healthy things like almonds. Often clients of mine are eating higher amounts of almonds than they should per serving. So you really want to make sure that you own up to what the serving is of what you're eating. I should also sort of say at the beginning of this that the goal of any healthy eating program, like Sue said, is to eat as many food items that we can that do not have a label. Okay, so obviously in TLS, we're trying to eat fruits and vegetables and proteins and fiber and fat and all of that. However, realistically, if we're cooking for family, if we're cooking for ourselves and we're adding ingredients into foods, we're inevitably going to have to read labels. Now, this leads us to number 2, which is aggressive marketing. So I come from a marketing and advertising background. I know how much we manipulate the information to have you read it with the intent that we want you to read it, which is to get you to buy it. But it's very, very misleading, okay? So going back to what I said in the beginning, when you look at that label and you look at the packaging, you need to make sure, are you on your journey to get to a goal or are you maintaining the lifestyle? A perfect example of that is something that might say non-GMO. Now, non-GMO we know is a good thing, right? So in either case, we probably want something that's non-GMO. But just because it says non-GMO doesn't mean that it's going to meet your weight loss goals, okay? We're going to need to tap into some of these other items we're going to talk about. I always use as an example with that when my youngest son was learning about food labels, and he would say, look, Mom, the log cabin syrup has no high fructose corn syrup. And I would say to him, that's a really good thing, but that doesn't make that product good for you, right? So it's important to identify there might be lack of good ingredients, or something might have good ingredients. It doesn't necessarily make it good for you if your goals are weight loss, okay? Organic. So ideally organic we want, right? And I'm going to post the Clean 15, so you know the things you're looking for that organic, and there's coding for you in looking at vegetables with different PCU codes, so you know what's, the way foods are made. But plants ideally means that there's no fertilizers, no pesticides, and no herbicides. For meats, it means ideally organic fed or grass fed. And keep in mind to what Cam showed with the steak, if you're someone who's avoiding grains and you're eating chicken, what does chicken eat, right? They eat grains. So sometimes grass-fed beef might be a better choice for you, and everything in moderation. But if you find the bulk of your diet is chicken and you're not seeing weight loss, you might want to consider that. But anyway, meats, when it comes to organic, will mean no antibiotics and no hormones. But just because something says it's an organic jelly bean doesn't make it good for you, okay? Get my point there? So gluten-free. This is another one that sort of like people get tripped up on. If you're somebody that's been diagnosed clinically with celiac, or you have gluten sensitivity like I do, following things that are gluten-free are really important. But one thing that I discovered was a lot of my clients, upon discovering, including my mother-in-law, and upon discovering that they had celiac, were actually gaining weight. And the bulk of that is because they were eating foods that said gluten-free on it, and they thought that that was like a get-out-of-jail-free card. The challenge is that gluten is useful in the making of food. It actually shapes the food that your manufacturers are making. So the lack of gluten means they need corn syrup or sugar or something else to form that product. So again, we need to look at some of the other common things to look at. But just because something is gluten-free doesn't mean it's going to help you meet your weight loss goals. So things like all natural just means they're minimally processed. Things that are light or things that are reduced generally are light or reduced than the item before, which might never have been healthy to begin with. Nutrition and energy bars. This is my favorite thing when clients bring me or show me, and we'll post some in the group, or you can post some. But those sometimes are just candy bars. It's sort of like having a Flintstones chewable. It's really just a piece of candy. So look at the sugar, and I'm not saying all of them, but you really need to pay attention to the sugar. There are some bars which can remain nameless that are like 24 grams of sugar. That's way, way, way too much sugar, okay? So you need to look at the quality of the ingredients. Oop, something I'm going to talk about at the end, okay? So the other big thing is when things say made with real fruit. Now, you know that there's not an apple hidden inside the Welch's fruit snacks, right? So often that means they're including added sugars or they're adding artificial flavors, okay? So that's a little bit on the marketing plan. The third thing that we focus too much on is calories. So one of the best parts about TLS is that this is an eating program, okay? But we teach you that all calories are not created equal. I think you would agree that 100 calories of broccoli is absolutely not the same as 100 calories of baked Lay's potato chips, or any kind of potato chip for that matter, right? So we want to get you eating foods that are going to keep you in that fat burning mode, right? Protein and fiber at every meal, like Cam said, right? Super, super important. So Suzanne Patrick is going to talk tomorrow night more about that. So I'm going to move on to the fourth item, wheat. All wheat is not created equal as well. So we want items, if we're in, we have 6 customizable menu plans. So if you've moved to the menu plans that are sure and steady and continued commitment, and you're adding whole grains back into your diet, we want to make sure those whole grains say 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grain, okay? A whole grain means it has all 3 components, the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, and all the nutrients that come with it. Sometimes I like to use the analogy of school. Like my kids, when they would take an enrichment class after school, I would think, oh, that's a really good thing. They're taking an enrichment class. So when you see things that are enriched flour, you think that's a good thing. That's where the marketing comes in. Enrichment means that they have broken down that grain and then they've chucked you back a few more vitamins for good measure, okay? We want things that are 100% whole grain. So we want minimally processed foods. I'm going to post some things so you can see the names of it, but often we get tripped up by things like multigrain. Doesn't that sound really good? That just means there's many grains in it. It doesn't mean that any of those grains are whole and in their complete form. We want 100% whole rye, 100% whole wheat. We want brown rice or wild rice, okay? Things we would avoid are 7-grain, multigrain, cracked, rolled, crushed, things like that, okay? The fifth thing is that we don't look at fat the right way. So first off, fat doesn't make you fat. And by that, that was not a gateway to the Haagen-Dazs pint of ice cream, okay? We're not talking about saturated fats, but good fats, olive oils, avocado, things like that. They do not make you fat. And often they'll help you go to the bathroom, and they'll help satiate you. Two things lower the glycemic impact of your meal: fiber and fat, okay? Haven't talked about fiber yet. Right now we're talking about fat. So fat has more calories per gram. High-fat foods inevitably are going to have higher fat. We want to look at the indented tabs. Saturated fats, okay? We want less than 5 grams for saturated fats. Okay, if you've spaced out, come in for this part. Trans fats, right? Most of the foods that have put us in the position we're in right now have come from trans fats. That's cookies and microwave popcorn and cake and margarine and potato chips and all those things like that. They have trans fats, some kind of hydrogenation process in it. The challenge is that the FDA has approved that if an item has less than 1 gram per serving, they can put 0 on the food label. That's crazy because I've already told you that those are the foods that we often eat more than a serving, right? So if you ate that entire ice cream or you ate all the potato chips and you ate multiple servings, take a half a gram, let's say, multiply by how many servings you've had. So you haven't ended up with 0 grams of trans fats, okay? What we want to look at are the healthy fats, ideally monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, okay? Those are beneficial to your heart, beneficial to your cholesterol. That leads me to number 6, cholesterol. Cholesterol, as far as a label, doesn't tell the whole story, okay? So you obviously need to work with your health professional about where your cholesterol levels are at, but the number that's on the food label isn't dramatically the thing that will likely impact your cholesterol levels. More likely, it's the sugar in the food that you're eating as it synthesizes cholesterol. Similar to that is salt and sodium. So you need to work with your health professional about your own diet, of course, but we want low numbers in sodium, and obviously we want to not use as many foods as we can that aren't canned and things that have high sodium. So we want to look for the lowest numbers of that. But we want to look for salt that's good salt, like Himalayan salt or kosher salt or sea salt, and try and stay away from processed or iodized salt. The 8th thing we don't get enough of is protein. So when Cam was talking about what we're eating in our meals, we're eating protein and fiber. So the first thing is protein. Ideally, we want 15 to 25 grams of protein per serving if we're a woman, and that's super important, or actually if we're a man or a woman. That's what we can absorb and break down. So for women, it's 4 to 6 ounces, about a palm size, and for men, a little bit bigger, 6 to 8 ounces. For snacks, 2 to 3 ounces, okay? 2 thoughts here. Cam mentioned the nutrition shakes. One of the things that I love about our nutrition shakes is that they're really designed for 2 things: on-the-go support, meal replacement in a pinch. Our program is based on eating real food all the time, but the reality is sometimes we're leaving early at 6 in the morning, we don't have time to make breakfast, or especially in those fat shredder weeks like Cam talked about, we want to increase our protein, so we need to get more protein and we need it to be absorbable and fast. Our nutrition shakes have 19 grams of protein. The whey protein shakes that Cam showed, the ones in the box, have 21 grams of protein. And our new plant-based ones, which are rice and pea protein, have 11 grams of protein. That's huge. So being able to get that quickly in our diet and absorbable and whatever that word is, utilizable in our body, absorbable in our body, is really important. The other thing is we often don't eat enough because we don't realize how little protein is in some foods that we eat. So how many of you for breakfast have like 1 egg, and because we told you to have fiber with it, you throw a little bit of spinach on it, right? No. We want you eating. Each egg is about 6 grams of protein. So if we want you to have 18 to 25 grams of protein in a meal, that's 3 eggs. So eat up, and then throw a whole bunch of spinach, because that will, break down for you. Also, stack your veggies, which leads me to the next thing, 9, which is fiber. So I posted some tips about detoxing recently, and one of those big tips was about getting fiber in lots of different ways and stacking your vegetables. But when you're looking at food labels, where that shows up is in the fiber content. So we want the fiber content to be as high as we can, definitely over 5, ideally over 9, okay, wherever we can. 5 or more is, definitely key. For women, we want 20 to 25 grams a day. For men, we want 35 to 38 a day. And studies are showing that people are deficient. But all fiber is not created equal. And sometimes, if you look in the label, Something might say it has fiber, but it might be in the form of chicory root or maltodextrin or polydextrose. And those forms of fiber might cause you to be gassy or bloaty, and we don't want that. So Dr. D last night talked about Fibersol 2 as a really absorbable, utilizable, good feeling, good, healthy, soluble, insoluble fiber powder that we want to have. Not only can you find that in that NutriClean fiber powder, but you can find that in the plant-based shake that we have and the nutrition shake. It's not in the box one that Cam showed, the protein shake, because that's protein only and designed for really for people who are exercising. But in the nutrition shake, that's protein and fiber. So what's our phrase? Protein and fiber at every meal makes losing weight or burning fat no big deal, right? So great way to get protein and fiber in your snack. If you're using the plant-based shake, it's 4.5 grams of protein. So throw in the fiber powder that we have, or throw in more veggies in your shake so you can up that fiber. But if you're using the nutrition shake, it's 10 grams of fiber, which is a huge amount of fiber. The 10th thing is that all sugar is not created equal. Okay, so this brings me very quickly to the FDA label and the great new addition of added sugars. So for you to understand added sugars, what's key is for you to understand that some foods like milk, let's say, have naturally occurring milk sugar in them. So if I were to take a glass of milk, let's say it came from a box, it was like Parmalat or something like that, it's going to have some it's going to have some milk sugar, and that's okay. If I added a tablespoon of table sugar to it, or I added a tablespoon of brown sugar to it, or I added a tablespoon of agave to it, I've now added sugar to that meal, okay? It's those added sugars that mess us up, because those things have been adding up in all the foods that we've been eating with packages for years, and that's what the FDA is going to identify for us now. This is super important. Our TLS shakes only have 2 grams of sugar in them. Both the protein and the nutrition one both have 2 grams of sugar, and that plant-based one has 0. So when I tell my clients why I love those shakes, I still want them to eat food, but high protein, high fiber, and low sugar are exactly what we're looking for in a label, okay? Sweeteners, like 3 more things, super quick. Sweeteners. How many of you guys think like sweeteners are your answers, right? I'm not going to have sugar, I'm just going to have the sweetener. Unfortunately, studies show that your body still thinks when you eat sweeteners, it responds like it's sugar. It still creates that insulin response in your body. Sugar craves sugar. So the more you put in your body in whatever form it is, your body is still responding that way. So 3 key things to look at with sweeteners. Sort of, we call them the red, the yellow, and the green. Okay, the red are no way under any circumstance, and that's aspartame and saccharin. They cross the blood-brain barrier. They impact leptin sensitivity. That's the satiety that we need. That's where that core product comes in. It helps with helping our leptin hormone. It impacts mood swings. So no aspartame. That's the blue pack and the pink pack, right? Yellow would be sucralose, way low, and sugar alcohols. Now those are good. They're not good for you. They're sweeteners. So none of these are ideal. But we never have enough impact, enough load of them to really have any kind of impact for us. And then the better ones would be monk fruit, stevia, loquat, and agave. But still in moderation. So if you're living a lifestyle, okay, put them in moderation. But if you're on a journey to get to a goal, no sweeteners ideally. Okay. Net carb count, and this is what I want to post on the Facebook group, because nothing I say quickly right now will fully explain it to you. But when you look at the total carbs, there's an indent. And in that indent is fiber, sugar, sugar alcohols, okay? When we look at the carbs, all we care about is what is the amount of carbs, what are the grams of carbs that are going to impact our blood sugar levels and rise our blood sugar, right? So 2 things don't negatively impact our blood sugar, fiber and sugar alcohols. So we take that total carb, we subtract fiber, we subtract sugar alcohols, and voila, we get the net carb count. We want that number as low as possible, okay? We want that number to be less than 5 ideally, okay? This brings me to my one example and my last item. When you look at oatmeal, for example, so if you're on Sure and Steady or Continued Commitment and you're adding in oatmeal, if you took a package of microwavable in a packet, whatever brand oatmeal, okay? And then you looked at, let's say, Trader Joe's, which I buy for my kids. Trader Joe's has a microwavable oatmeal that has brown sugar and maple syrup, so it definitely has a little bit of sugar in it. Or you take a box of steel cut oats. If you look at their label, across the board, they tend to have the same amount of total carbs. They have about the same amount of sugar, although the Trader Joe's one is a little higher, but you get very clear it's from brown sugar and maple syrup, okay? All the ingredients, all the items on the food label are just about the same, except for the ingredients. The microwavable one has like 1,000 ingredients. And like after the first word, you can't pronounce the rest of them. If you can't read the word, you shouldn't go in your body. okay? That's a huge problem for people. Not only too many ingredients, but too many that are chemicals, okay? That list starts in the largest, from descending order, the thing we have the most to the descending amount. The Trader Joe's one has like 5 ingredients, all words you understand, but the steel cut oats, 1 ingredient, steel cut oats, okay? So looking at quality of ingredients is super important. My final thought, those are my 13. My final thought is the TLS journal, okay? In this TLS journal, it's about 100 pages. It's $24.95. Talk with the person who brought you on here so you can check this out. It's over 100 pages of education, of which one chapter is obviously label reading. But it talks all about journaling, because all the food that you're eating, you need to connect the dots between the foods you're eating and how they're making you feel, label or no label. So you want to identify all that through the journaling, but you're going to get so much education in here. So all the things Pam and Cam and everybody last night's talking about is in here in some form. And then on the TLS Slim website, we have amazing educational videos that mirror the journal. So great way for you to be self-guided doing this program. Although I personally think everything is better with an accountability buddy, whether that's a coach or a friend. So I'm wrapped up. I know I went a little bit over my time, so sorry, lots to cover. I'm going to post some stuff. Definitely reaching out to Sue now to take over. Tune in tomorrow night. We have an amazing night, and definitely reach out to the person who brought you in here. If anything you're of interest in, I believe everyone's offering a 10% off coupon. And thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this tonight. Take care.